Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. I've put out some recent videos on the death of the musician Prince, as well as the death of Afeni Shakur, the mother of Tupac, who died shortly after Prince. The parallel between those two deaths is through Tupac himself. For his final recorded studio album while he was alive, he used the artist name Makaveli, named after the Italian politician philosopher who wrote the book The Prince. The Prince, his most famous book. So that's the parallel between those two deaths. If you haven't seen my videos on Prince and Afeni Shakur, I'll link them in the description. Here I want to share with you new information. I'm writing a book right now. I'm working on a chapter that talks about the death of Tupac. And I have made some important finds that I had not made before. That's what I want to share with you. What we're looking at here on the screen is Tupac's final album released while he was alive. This came out in early 1996 on the date February 13th, a very special date that we'll get to. For a little backstory, I just want to remind you what happened in the lead up to the release of this album. This album was supposed to come out about 6 months earlier in the fall of '95. Its release date was pushed back several times until it finally arrived at February 13th. I remember this so well because I was 12 years old at the time, and it was before the internet. It was at a time where if you wanted to buy an album or find out when it was coming out, you had to go to the store and look on, the board up there. When will your favorite musician's album be coming out? And the closest music store to me at the time was the mall, Sam Goody, probably true for many people in this nation. And the release date must have been changed at least 6 times between September and February. And I remember this because I would write down the date hoping it was coming out, and I would take the bus to go get the album only to get there and find out it hadn't come out yet and had a new release date. So anyway, now, understanding what's going on in the world, that's 20 years ago, I see why they released this album February 13th. We're going to get to that reason right now. February 13th is the 44th day of the year, and 44 is a number that has to do with death and killing. Let me show you something real quick about 44 in case you've never seen one in my videos. If you write the word kill, it equals 44. And if you write out the word 44, it sums to 144. There's a relationship between 44 and 144. The word clock has gematria 44. Think about how a clock keeps time. I tell you that because the word time has gematria of 144 as well. These numbers are coded again and again in the deaths of celebrities in a way of bookmarking time, it seems. I'm trying to understand why they do it this way, but the pattern of people dying on dates with major connections to 44 is undeniable, and if you follow the work on my channel, I've shown how this connects to everyone from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King Jr. to the presidents who have died in office and more. So I just want to establish the significance of 44 and 144 and his album coming out on the 44th day of the year. This date, February 13th, is known as Lupercalia. It's an ancient Roman festival that runs February 13th through the 15th. It has to do with cleansing spirits. It has to do with remembering the dead. In other words, it has to do with death. Lupercalia in Pythagorean gematria sums to 44, and the festival starts on the 44th day of the year, not by coincidence. So Tupac's album, All Eyez On Me, released on this special date in the year '96. The title, All Eyez On Me, with the purposeful misspelling of eyes with a Z, yields gematria of 52. 52. His mother just died on May 2nd, 5/2. The word prophecy also has to do with gematria 52. In many ways, Tupac was a prophet of his own death. His final music video was from this album, the song I Ain't Mad At Ya, and the music video is Tupac in heaven trying to communicate with his friend back on Earth, or you can interpret it different ways, but the point is, Tupac is in heaven in his final music video before he's shot and killed, as it's reported in the mainstream. This gematria of 133, that's another special number. Words such as government have gematria of 133, White House, God bless America. So does the word temptation. And I think about how one of Tupac's most famous singles was his song Temptation before the album All Eyez On Me came out. Special number. But it's the 52 that stands out the most. His mother just died on 5/2 May 2nd, the day before Makaveli's birthday. But check this out. The album released February 13th. Tupac would die September 13th, exactly 7 months later. And his final album is called Makaveli, the 7-Day Theory. 7 represents complete in numerology. 7 months later, 213 days, a lot like 2/13 for February 13th. I just did a recent video on the death of Moses Malone, and I talked about how Kobe Bryant, his final game of 60 points, was connected to the death of Moses Malone. Moses Malone in history died September 13th, the same date Tupac died, 19 years later. Moses Malone, if you're not aware, is the first basketball player to go from high school to the NBA. First player in history. He played the majority of his career with the Philadelphia 76ers. He was drafted by Utah. Kobe just finished his career against Utah, scoring 60 points. Kobe grew up in Philadelphia, born to Joe Jellybean Bryant. Joe Jellybean Bryant was drafted by the Warriors. Think about how while Kobe was scoring 60 points, the Warriors at the same time, ESPN 1 and ESPN 2, 2 games going on literally at the same time as Kobe was scoring 60 points to finish his career, the Warriors were breaking Michael Jordan's win record. Michael Jordan finished his career against the Philadelphia 76ers. And if you haven't seen my work on Kobe and Michael, both of their names in gematria, in English gematria, sum to 678. They retired exactly 678 weeks apart. And at the same time, the Warriors, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson set a new NBA record of 678 three-pointers on the same day. It's a deep rabbit hole that I'm exposing. What I'm trying to clue you into is the world is truly scripted. It's planned. It's predetermined. Like Prince said, you have to follow prophecy. A lot of you have heard Prince say that in all the videos and information coming out about his death. He said you have to follow prophecy on Tavis Smiley in 2009 after the election of Obama. He would die 7 years later, supposedly by the numbers. Prince 5'2", kind of like 52, could be a coincidence. Anyway, Moses Malone died at age 60. Kobe finished his career with 60 points. They were calling it Black Mamba Day. Kobe's nickname, the Black Mamba, has gematria of 213. From the date Moses Malone died until the date Kobe scored 60 points to retire against Utah, who Moses Malone was drafted by out of high school, is a span of 213 days. Did a lot more work. There's even more to this story. I don't want to be too tangential. I'll link that video as well, my work on Kobe and his 60-point game. There's a ton to it. But I just want to show you the significance of these numbers and how they repeat. You know, Moses Malone, his initials are MM. M's the 13th letter. In numerology, 13 breaks down to 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. 13, 13, or 4, 4, kind of like 44. And connected to the death of Moses Malone, just weeks before him, Daryl Dawkins, another high school player connected to Philadelphia, he died. Daryl Dawkins, DD. D's the 4th letter. DD 44, a lot like 44. I'll link those videos. So Tupac, he dies 213 days after the release of his album All Eyez On Me. Kobe scores 60 points 213 days after Moses Malone dies at 60 unexpectedly. Tupac's final album, this is the cover right here. He went by the name Makaveli, the Don Columinati. Down here it's very blurry, but it says the 7-day theory. Sorry, you can't really see that, but if you look it up, that's what it's called, the 7-day theory. 7, very special number in the Bible. God rested on the 7th day, Anyhow, check this name out, Makaveli. Makaveli equals 74. So does the word rapper. Jesus equals 74. Cross equals 74. Messiah equals 74. Gospel equals 74. That's the story of Jesus. Masonic equals 74, as in the Freemasons. Jewish equals 74. Essentially, who's behind the Freemasons? The Bible begins with the 39 books of the Old Testament that the Jews go by. All this stuff is intertwined. If you've never seen my work on Psalm 74 and the Masons, you got to check that out. Bible, it's way too old to say exactly what's happened to it, but I have no doubt that the English version that we know as a people has been very much edited by the Freemasons, who use it as a playbook and use it again and again in their wrongdoing. And if you watch my channel, I show how the same things are coded from the death of Tupac to the death of Abraham Lincoln to the World Trade Centers and more. The sinking of the Titanic. These people do the same thing by the same numbers again and again. So don't think this is just some arbitrary coding. This is what shows up all throughout history. This album right here, Makaveli, it would release November 5th, 1996, a date that stands out very much. Here's what's up with this date, though. From the date he died until the date it was released was a span of 53 days, or 1 month and 23 days, or 7 weeks and 4 days, kind of like 74. Makaveli was born May 3rd. Remember the death of Afeni Shakur? She died May 2nd. The news of her death was public May 3rd, the day of Makaveli's birthday. Everybody heard about Tupac's mom dying on Makaveli's birthday. 53 days. 123, kind of like a month and 23. The word conspiracy equals 123. She died on May 2nd in a leap year, the 123rd day of the year of Afeni Shakur. This date, November 5th, it can be written 5/11, the day before the month. That's a lot like Saturn. Saturn is the keeper of time. In the beginning, I was explaining the significance of 44 in time. Remember, time equals 144. Clock equals 44. If you write out 44, it sums to 144. Tupac's album coming out on the 44th day of the year. So anyway, Saturn is the keeper of time. This album comes out November 5th, corresponding with Saturn. Saturn also has gematria of 93, just like crucifix, the symbol of Jesus on the cross. Think about how for Tupac's final album that was released November 5th, he's on the cross, kind of like the crucifix. And we talked about how Makaveli connects to Jesus and cross. The word religion also equals 53, comes out 53 days after his death. From his birthday to Makaveli's birthday, Makaveli born May 3rd, Tupac born June 16th. Tupac's birthday and death. Makaveli's birthday and death. 44 days apart, or a span of 1 month and 13 days. Span of 1 month and 13 days. Afeni Shakur, his mother's name, had gematria of 113. Scottish equals 113, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the branch of Freemasonry that has dominated this nation from the beginning. The book I'm working on right now shows how these people have created the nation and scripted all of its major history up to the present by the numbers of prophecy, the numbers from Revelation in the Bible. This has been going on since the country began. It was nothing new what happened to Tupac. He fell into a pattern that predated him by hundreds of years. His mother was a member of the Black Panther Party, a controlled opposition established by Freemasons. Tupac was really shot September 7th in Las Vegas, supposedly. Show you what's up with this real quick. Him getting shot September 7th. Keep in mind that's a date that can be written 7/9. He was shot September 7th, 7/9. Murder equals 79. Murder 79. This image, though, the image released of his last night in Vegas, it has the wrong timestamp. It has the timestamp of September 8th, which, interestingly enough, in history is the Virgin Mary's birthday. Think about the connection of him on the cross, Jesus, Virgin Mary's birthday. Anyhow, this is the image that's always been given to the public. It has the wrong date on it. It should be September 7th, because it's supposed to be the last image taken of him before he's shot. But a lot of people have also pointed out that there's no keys in the ignition. How were they driving? The story, when this image was released, it was said they were driving down the strip in Vegas after the Tyson Holyfield fight. No keys in the ignition. So a staged picture. This date, though, 9/8/96, it's a date with 113 numerology. Again, connecting to Scottish and Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Important number to these people, connecting to his mother's name, Afeni Shakur. It was also a date with 132 numerology. I didn't get into this in this video, but in the last video I did on the death of Afeni Shakur, I talked about all the parallels with the Catholic Church and the connections with Philadelphia in the Catholic Church. We were talking about Moses Malone and the parallels earlier. Earlier this year, the Pope, or at the end of 2015, the Pope visited the United States. He left from Philadelphia on the Jesuit order's birthday, which is a Catholic order. Anyway, this date having 132 numerology as well connects to Catholic Church. The date she died, May 2nd, typically the 122nd day of the year. Right now, the face of the Catholic Church is Pope Francis, having this gematria of 122. His numbers have been coded into a lot of suspicious stories this year, from Mexican prison riots to shootings and more. The word Pope alone equals 52, kind of like May 2nd. Remember, all eyes on me equals 52. Prophecy equals 52. This year, though, May 2nd, the date of her death was the 123rd day of the year, like conspiracy again. It is the Freemasons, though, undeniably, who are responsible for this. Tupac Shakur and gematria equals 139. Freemasonry equals 139. He died on September 13th, which can be written 13/9, a lot like 139. All of this went down in the year 96, the release date of All Eyes on Me, an album that was supposed to come out in 95 but got pushed back. So it comes out in 96. Makaveli comes out in 96. Freemason, 96. The reflection of 96 is 69. Afeni Shakur just died at age 69. Her full name, Afeni Shakur Davis, as CNN has in their headline on May 3rd. Gematria of 69. Seen a lot of celebrities die suspiciously at age 69 this year. Remember, David Bowie died of cancer at age 69, just days after his album. The astrological symbol for Cancer is 69. Cancer in gematria equals 44, like kill, like chemo. With regards to the real-life Makaveli, he died at age 58. He died at 58. Freemasonry, the small way, equals 58. Again, Tupac's mother, Black Panther, the Black Panther Party started by Huey P. Newton, gematria 58, in Oakland, gematria 58. It came out that Prince, before he died, 49 days before his death, attended the March 3rd 3-3 Golden State Warriors game in Oakland. That was the big story on ESPN the day of his death. Again, Revelation equals 49. Warriors equals 49. The Warriors, originally from Philadelphia. March 3rd, 3-3, a lot like 33. Think about Jesus on the cross at age 33. Out of the 50 states, only the 33rd state, Oregon, sums to 74. It's a Masonic creation of a nation. Same numbers again and again. United States has gematria of 58 as well, like Freemasonry. This nation, the Freemason creation. So sadly, this is really what's going on, you know, from the death of Tupac to Kobe retiring. Speaking of Kobe, Los Angeles Lakers equals 58. Purple Rain equals 58. Kobe retired on a date with 58 numerology, April 18th. 4 plus 18, 22, plus 20 more, 42, plus 16, 58. That's how you take the numerology of that date. Los Angeles Lakers, 58. So this is what's up, you know. The Freemasons run this world. You want to know why Jews are at the top of everything, from the NBA to the recording studios that put out these albums? It's because this is the gang. This is the network. This is how they operate. Talked about religion. Judaism, one of the oldest religions in the world. These people have been running the show for a long time. You study Judaism. You learn that numbers are important to them. The word Jewish is 74. All right, Truth Seeker, I got to get back to writing the book. Until next time, Core. On the day Prince died, I talked about the connection, or possible connection, to the Super Bowl that had passed on February 7th and his death. In this video, I want to expand on that information and draw the parallels between Tupac's death, Prince's death, and what I was saying about the Super Bowl. If you haven't been with me, in October of 2015, I predicted that the Super Bowl would be involving the Broncos, and the Broncos would likely be winning based on what you're looking at right here. This was a contrived news story, a fictional news story presented as real in the mainstream media. The story was that this car got in an accident by itself. The passenger was ejected out the back window. Imagine the person driving the vehicle in an accident involving no other vehicles, flying out the back windshield and landing on a freeway sign. This was presented in mainstream media as a real news story. From experience, from seeing stories like this before and decoding as I do, I have shown how stories such as this are truly riddles for upcoming sports championships. The people who control the media, the Masons and the Zionist Jews, this is what they do. It might be out of boredom. I can't explain their madness, but this is truly what they do. From this story, from having the knowledge that I have, I was able to say that the Broncos would likely be in the Super Bowl and win it. Notice this happened at Colorado Street. This is a story of death. Colorado is the 38th state in order of statehood. Colorado in gematria sums to 38. So does the word death. And I said, when I was making these videos, which you can go back and watch, I said, I bet you this year, because the upcoming Super Bowl is on the 38th day of the year, the Super Bowl that passed in 2016, Broncos, won by the team from Colorado, was on the 38th day of the year, February 7th. And I said before it even came, I said I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of celebrity deaths connected to this Super Bowl. I expect more deaths than normal, because in all of these sports championships, if you're aware of the coding and what's being done, you recognize how there are truly celebrity sacrifices for big sports events. One that was real easy to see on a surface level was Super Bowl 49. The year before, Stuart Scott died at age 49, just before the Super Bowl, 49th Super Bowl. This kind of stuff going on all the time in sports if you're aware of it. So anyway, anyone who's awake realizes that there have been a ton of deaths in 2016, in the time just before the Super Bowl, and in the time since. You know, lots of musicians, actors, celebrities. February 7th, day of the Super Bowl this year, 38th day of the year, number connected to death. I've done videos on every celebrity you've heard of dying in the past year, and probably even celebrities that you didn't realize died. And 90% of those deaths are connected to the number 38. Another popular number, 67. Prince's birthday was June 7th. He died 67 days after Vanity. And in February, after Vanity died, I said Prince better watch his ass. He might die next because he has all the numbers aligning with death. Case in point, right here, Truth Seeker. Prince in gematria equals 38. Minnesota equals 38, where he died. Chanhassen, the town he lived in where he died. They're calling his home the New Graceland, where Elvis died, 38. They said Prince had a doctor who visited him on the day of death from Oregon. Oregon, the small way, 38. With regard to Tupac, Tupac died September 13th, 1996, a date with 38 numerology. And then the next big death in the music world and the hip-hop world would be Notorious B.I.G., who would die March 9th, also a date with 38 numerology, just like Tupac. Biggie equaled 39. He died on 3/9, March 9th. Can also be written 9/3, like Saturn, like crucifix, connected to the death of Tupac through Makaveli, as we discussed. Regarding Tupac's final album, Makaveli, there's a song called Blasphemy. Blasphemy has gematria of 38. When John Lennon was assassinated, his assassin said he killed John Lennon because he made a blasphemy against Jesus, saying he was bigger than Jesus. Think about Tupac on the cross, the parallel. John Lennon was shot with a gun, 38 caliber. He was killed on December 8th, 12/8. In numerology, 12 becomes 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. That day has 38 connections. Dimebag Darrell of Pantera would die on that date as well at age 38. I have a video on that. All sorts of 38 connections in that story. Numbers that show up again and again in death. You know? From the date of the Super Bowl on the 38th day of the year until the day Prince died was a span of 74 days. Jesus, cross, Masonic, Jewish. You know, in this regard, the number connects to sacrifice. Super Bowl on the 38th day of the year, Prince equals 38. He dies 74 days later. It's talking about how Oregon equals 74, the big way, the 33rd state. All of these numbers having relationships and then being used again and again in these Masonic rituals. If you read Revelation, the book of prophecy that Prince said people have to go by, if you read Revelation, it's all about 7 and 4. So much 7 and 4. 7 happens to be the 4th prime number. Numbers only divisible by themselves and ones. Numbers that have important relationships. Something else about the Super Bowl. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl this year. Cam Newton. And again, the Black Panther Party were established in history in Oakland by Huey P. Newton, which was Masonic-controlled opposition. Oakland, 58. Huey P. Newton, 58. Freemasonry, 58. United States, 58. Cam Newton is a blood relative of Huey P. Newton. He became the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. Before the Super Bowl was played, I predicted that Von Miller would win the MVP with the Broncos defeating Cam Newton. Von Miller wears the number 58. You know, I predicted all of this before the game happened by understanding this numerical code. If I could go back to February 13th, 1996, knowing what I know now, I'd be making a video today telling Tupac to watch his ass. You know, and that goes for any other musician whose album might get released on February 13th. That might as well be a death wish. The day Prince died, when ESPN was covering him, talking about him being at the March 3rd Warriors game, they were talking about how he looked like he was sporting the fro like a Black Panther. They said that in the ESPN broadcast. Black Panther Party equals 74, like Masonic. He dies 74 days after the Super Bowl. Prince 38, Super Bowl on the 38th day. All these celebrity sacrifices connected to it, including Prince. There's a people who need to be exposed for this. The Freemasons and the Zionist Jews in high places. This is who is responsible. They are very arrogant. They are very repetitive. They forecast what they are going to do through numbers and more. And when I say and more, let's go back and listen to Tupac's song, So Many Tears, just for about 5 seconds. This is the album before All Eyez On Me. Check this out. Listen to what Tupac says right here. So don't stand in me. My every move is a calculated step to bring me closer to embracing early death. Did you just hear what he said? My every move is a calculated step to embracing early death. As if he knows, as if he has to prepare for it. This reminds me of Martin Luther King Jr. the night before he was assassinated, April 3rd, typically the 93rd day of the year, talking about how he might not make it much longer, only to be shot and killed the next day, April 4th, 4-4. Martin Luther King Jr. equals 93, Malcolm X equals 93, both men dead on dates connected to 44. Both of their assassins connected to 44. I have videos on this. It's the same thing again and again with the same numbers, the same coding. Those words about embracing early death came between a minute 47 and a minute 53, and I don't think that's any coincidence either. The word master builder equals 147. That's a very important concept in numerology. It's like the foundation of something much bigger. Him saying these words at that point. And it ending at a minute 53 is a lot like the number 153, which is directly connected to 42, a number stamped on black men again and again. The song's called So Many Tears. Let me just show you what So Many Tears equals in gematria. Remember, 42 and 153 often go together. So many tears. 42. Why is this so? It's because of this. In the Bible, there's the story of the miraculous catch of fish. You have to spell miraculous right, though. I'm way off here. Miraculous. There it is. Miraculous equals 42. So does the word fish. In the miraculous catch of fish, they catch 153 fish. Special number. A lot I could go into. I just want you to know that pairing of 42 and 153, another Masonic practice. Here Tupac is talking about his early death, minute 53. His album also did release in Black History Month, All Eyez on Me, February. February is the only month with 42 gematria. This is a number stamped all over black Americans, from Jackie Robinson on, and the reason why is not nice, Truth Seeker. It's because of that reason right there. It is the Masons, it is the Zionist Jews who are responsible for all of this. They've created our language, they've created our nation, they've created our culture, they are running the show, they are controlling entertainment industries, they are programming the populace, and this is how they're doing it. My book's going to be out soon. I got to get back to work. Till next time, Truth Seeker. Double encore. Sorry, Truth Seeker. There's always more I want to say. There's things I forget to bring up because I do all these posts off the cuff. The date Prince died, April 21st, 16, that was a date with 41 numerology. I talked about how the star in Purple Rain, her 57th birthday is upcoming 57 days after Prince's birthday, and she has name gematria 41. I feel like she better watch out. But anyhow, Prince performed in Super Bowl 41. That was won by the Colts over the Bears. Peyton Manning was the quarterback of the Colts then. That was the first Super Bowl he ever won. He only won one more. He won it with the Denver Broncos this year. Prince died 74 days later. In history, there's a parallel between the Colts and the Broncos that goes before Manning. John Elway, one of the heads of the Denver Broncos football team, who he quarterbacked for, he was drafted number 1 overall out of Stanford by the Baltimore Colts. He was traded to the Denver Broncos, where he had his Hall of Fame career. Think about how the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, recently drafted Andrew Luck, number 1 overall out of Stanford, that sent Peyton Manning from the Colts to play under Elway with the Broncos. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the day Prince died this year, it was the 112th day of the year, April 21st, because it's a leap year. Again, a date with 41 numerology. 112 has connections to this year's Super Bowl, which is in Houston. Houston equals 112. The Colts symbol is the horseshoe, which has gematria of 112. Their quarterback is Andrew Luck, which equals 112. It's the 51st Super Bowl hosted by the Houston Texans. Check this out. Houston Texans hosting Super Bowl 51. Last year, San Francisco hosted Super Bowl 50. Houston Texans hosting Super Bowl 51. It's also the 47th Super Bowl of the modern era, which began 4 years after the first Super Bowl. I bring that up because Luck equals 47. Andrew Luck is the son of Oliver Luck. Oliver Luck played his entire NFL career with the Houston Oilers, which is where Andrew Luck played his high school football, in Houston, where the Super Bowl's at this year. This will be Andrew Luck's 5th season. In horse racing, a colt is only a colt for 4 years. Andrew Luck's 4 years are behind him. This will be his 5th year. In horse racing, that's the first year of being a stallion. And I fully expect to see Andrew Luck in the Super Bowl. If you want to know what I think the outcome of the Super Bowl will be, look up what happened in 1958 and 1959 in the NFL championship game. You'll have your answer. It's connected to the death of Frank Gifford, who died right around the Hall of Fame game last year. So anyway, Prince died on the 112th day of the year, a date with 41 numerology. The Colts last won Super Bowl 41. Some big parallels here. As I often say, these celebrity sacrifices, these news stories, they're scripting for events to come, including professional sports games. This is how the Masons and the Zionist Jews have rigged the show. This is why they control TV, Hollywood, record studios, sports leagues, pretty much the whole show. Because they're control freaks, and they use all of this together as an ongoing riddle, an ongoing programming, device, scheme, tool to move society. Just think about how all these stories move people, shape them, create conversation, create culture. The death of Prince, the death of Tupac, these are events that grip people for a long time. If you haven't seen my other videos, again, they're linked in the description. I'll put them all there. Lots of information to get caught up on. Till next time, Truth Seeker.